Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. And here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast. And I'm with Tricia today. Welcome, Tricia.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone.
I'm so glad you're here. And I've got a question to start off our time together, which is if you could wave your magic wand and if you can have whatever you wanted with food and body and your relationship with those, what would that be for you? What would the big wish be for you?
My big wish would be to lose some stubborn weight that I have gained over the years and to have a healthy gut flora.
Nice. Okay. So how much weight do you want to lose?
I would like to lose about 60 pounds.
Got it. And what weight would that put you at?
That would put me at 160.
And when was the last time you weighed 160?
The last time was in 2013.
2013. And roughly how long were you at that weight for at that time?
At that time, probably about a year.
Uh-huh. And before that year?
Before that year, my weight has really fluctuated between, it just goes through like wild waves of fluctuation. Mm-hmm. So the smallest weight was like 148, and the highest weight at that time was like 185.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think your weight fluctuates over the years?
I think that my weight fluctuates based on if I'm feeling safe in my environment. So I lived in China for a year, and at that time I lost all the weight effortlessly. And then when I moved back to the United States, I gained 35 pounds in 2 months, even though I was kind of following the same routines and eating similarly to how I was when I was in China. So it was very frustrating.
I bet. So gained 35 pounds in 2 months, moving back to the USA from China, kind of stayed on similar patterns. So other than the obvious moved from one country and continent back to another, what was different, do you think?
I think it's because when I lived in Shanghai, and I was able to relax as a single young woman, and I could walk around the city any time of day or night, and I never had to look over my shoulder. I wasn't scared of sexual violence or gun violence, which are very real things that happen in the United States. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was just, I really loved feeling safe no matter where I was in the city.
Got it. So you have a connection between feeling safe and being able to be at a lighter weight, is what it sounds like. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Uh-huh. How old are you, Tricia?
I'm 34.
34. And how old were you when your weight started to fluctuate?
It started when I was 21.
And before that, were you happy with your weight?
I was happy with my weight, yes.
Mm-hmm. So it was never an issue for you previous to 21?
I had slight issues in high school. I was never overweight, but I had a mother who, it was really important to her that I be a certain size, the same size as her, when we have very different body types. Yeah. So I think I had some pressure from her, but I was always, in the 140s, 150s and active and healthy. And I liked the way I looked.
Yeah. So what do you think changed for you at 21-ish? That weight started to fluctuate.
I had 3 major incidents happen in 2006. I experienced a sexual assault. And then in 2007, my dad passed away very suddenly. So it was kind of after he passed away from colon cancer. And he was young, he was only 50. So when that happened, and that was very fast, he was given like 3 weeks to live. So that was a pretty big, sudden event. And then the following year, in 2008, I was sexually assaulted again. And that's when I really started noticing these like wild ups and downs with my weight.
Wow. So that's a lot. That's a lot to happen to a human being.
Mm-hmm.
How did you deal with the sexual assault the first time in terms of the aftermath? What was going on for you? Did you get any help, any therapy? Did you have people to talk to? Like what was that? What was it like for you in the aftermath?
It was really difficult, and it took me a while to understand what had happened because my rapists were friends of mine. It was a couple, a male and female, and we were all on a competitive public speaking team together. And so I had like traveled around the country with them for my freshman and sophomore years of college, and I knew them pretty well and like thought of them kind of like family. So I didn't realize that they were kind of fixated on this idea of having a threesome with someone. They decided it should be me because they both thought that I was very pretty. And they kind of created this plan for me to go to their apartment and drug me and take advantage of me. So when I woke up the next day, I didn't really understand the full extent of everything that had happened. And I had shared it with a couple of friends, and one of them defined it as rape and then kind of helped me figure out next steps. But it took a couple of weeks to get there, and I had a lot of conversations with him. So I did go to the police and I did press charges. This happened in April. So I pressed charges in May, and then they were arrested in August. And they were both a part of the theater community at this university. So the aftermath of me reporting it was of several different events. I studied abroad in Spain for the whole year. So I kind of checked out from school, and because I wasn't there, our mutual friends never really heard my side of the story. And they were very vocal. So they wrote a play about me and performed it at a school-sponsored event about me being a slut. And then they had a hate party and used my name. And then he ultimately wrote his thesis and used my name again, like Tricia and other women who falsely report rape was his thesis. So it was a lot of trauma surrounding me reporting.
I'm so sorry that happened for you. That I cannot imagine. And I'm just appreciating you being here today and right now and just talking about it and just making the connection between that experience and the journey you're going on with your body and your weight and with food right now. So, good for you for being able to talk about it.
Thank you.
Yes. A lot of respect that you're able to do that.
Thank you.
So where do you think you're at today when you think back to that experience on a scale of 1 to 100? If 100 was, I'm 100% over it, gone, forgotten, metabolized it completely, to 0 being it's still as bad as it's ever been. Where would you say you are on a scale of 1 to 100?
I would say that I'm probably at 65 to 70.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Good for you.
Thanks.
So your dad died about a year afterwards,
Yes.
and you had another assault incident.
Yes. Yes. And that one was very different. It was someone that on a third date. We were both sober. So I remembered, everything that happened. And um, what's interesting is that I never told anybody. So unlike the first time where I told people and there were so many repercussions of doing so, that I think the second time I was just kind of silent about it because I was already in therapy for the first incident and my dad's death. So I didn't want to tack on another thing. And I didn't really get the response that I was hoping for from family and friends like the first time I shared what happened the first time. So I think that's why I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah. And have you done any therapy work around that second incident?
I had a hard time connecting or finding a good therapist. Because I had one, I just tried to work with a therapist this past fall, but she was pretty judgmental. So I have to find a new one.
Yeah. Are you in a relationship these days?
No, I'm not. I'm actually separated from a marriage, but I've been separated since November of 2019. So it's been a while.
How long married for?
We were only married for 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think that's going?
We're going to get a divorce. We kind of put it on hold due to COVID in case we've had a very compassionate separation. So we stayed married in case one of us lost our jobs and needed insurance or help from the other person. So we're still pretty good friends, and he watches my dog for me still, and he helps me with my niece sometimes. So, but we don't have any kids.
Yeah. Who are you close with in your life in terms of family, friends?
I have a lot of really amazing friends, really close best friends since, middle school and onward. And I have a sister that I'm pretty close with, and she lives in Kansas City as well. So she's who I'm closest to, probably family-wise.
Do you have somebody in your life, friend or family-wise, that you can share or have shared about all these aspects of your journey with, and somebody who just holds space for you in a good way?
I don't think so. Yeah, I feel like I've had a hard time finding people who really understand or who know what to say. Yeah, I don't really have anybody like that.
Mm-hmm. How about your partner that you're going to be divorced from? Does he know your history?
He does.
Mm-hmm. How did he hold that?
He had a beautiful reaction when I told him. Actually, he cried with me, which was really great. And he was really sad and affected by it for a long time. It took him, a few weeks to get over the shock of hearing that when I first told him.
Yeah. I think that's an appropriate response, especially somebody who is developing or had a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to feel that way about somebody we care about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to imagine that you're not in a place where dating is really something you're thinking about right now. Is that true?
I actually have been dating quite a bit.
Ooh, good for you.
Yeah, because I had COVID. I kind of, sheltered in place. So it was a weird time to go through a divorce because my husband moved out in last February. So then with COVID coming in March, I spent, months by myself, living alone for the first time in a while. and like journaling and crying. So then when I got COVID this fall, then I thought I had like a little bit, I felt a little safer being out, like meeting new people. So I have gone on a few dates with people that are really great, awesome, and respectful.
I'm so glad for you. First of all, hard enough for a lot of people anyway, to date when you're in a separation and eventual divorce, like you're moving in that direction. Sometimes we're just not ready. And COVID, I have a lot of single friends and relatives, and it's got to be the worst time in human history to meet and date. It's just not as easy if you're sheltering in place. So I'm happy for you that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because part of it, I think, for you dating is one of the reasons I like it for you is you're putting out a very beautiful affirmation called I'm willing and I'm available if I choose to be. And I'm open to the exploration here. So I just think that's really good medicine.
Thank you. I think so too. It has, it's helped me because I've been paying attention to like why I feel like I need to lose weight or like why weight is on my mind. And, I'm getting really positive affirmations from all of these men that I'm going on dates with, like how beautiful I am, which is really great to hear. So and it's helped me kind of identify like the only person who I've really gotten negative feedback about my weight from is really my mom. So it's kind of helped me see like, well, I'm not really trying to attract my mom to me. I'm more interested in attracting handsome men my own age. So.
Right, exactly. So that's, glad you brought that up. Prior to going out on your first date in this last round, had you had the thought in your mind, I'm not going to date until I lose X amount of weight?
No, I've never really thought that way. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I try to just like accept and love my body as much as possible. Really my like most perplexed, just because I think it's kind of a mystery of like how I can gain and lose weight so quickly. So I'm really just more like curious about why that's happening. And it seems like every time I go through one of these rounds, like my set weight gets like higher and higher and higher. And so I don't want that like trend to continue. So I'm very curious about why, like how I can get that going the opposite direction.
Yeah. In my opinion, how you can make that work in your favor and go in the direction that you want to go in, I think you're doing it.
Okay.
Like literally everything you've just shared with me says to me, you're moving in the right direction.
Okay.
You're not at the goal line yet. You're not exactly where you want to be. And that's sort of how life works. We set our direction and we move towards it. And to me, you're doing that. And when I say that, I haven't spoken about this current relationship that you're divorcing from, but for whatever reasons, you're determining this isn't right for me at the end of the day. Even if he's the one who did the breaking up, it's still not right for you.
Right.
So ultimately, you want somebody who chooses you and you choose them, period.
Yes.
That's what I'm assuming you want. I'm assuming you want a life partner. Is that correct?
I go through phases of wanting it and not wanting it. Because I'm really close with my best friend, and she and I have some big long-term goals abroad, kind of focused on helping young men and women get out of like sex trafficking cycles in South Asia. So she and I just had a conversation this past November because we're kind of evaluating our lives, and she's single, she's my age. And so we had conversations of like, do we want to have kids? Like, how are we prioritizing? Because we're both getting to the age where we're trying to like think about more like, do we freeze our eggs? You know, what are our priorities in life? And we both feel really like called towards trying to help as many people as we can. And maybe we can do more of that if we decide like not to become parents. So she and I have toyed with the idea of like, you know, being life partners, and that we have this like shared mission. And we're actually moving to Miami together next winter. So kind of like getting the wheels in motion for that. So I'm really happy and excited about that.
And Miami because?
We both made a list of cities that we would move to, because she was in San Jose and I was in Kansas City. And we love Miami. We've been twice together, and we both speak Spanish. And I love like hot weather and being in the ocean and swimming. I love salsa dancing, and I love like Latin food. And being in Kansas City, there's no direct flights to any cool international destination. I don't think there's a single direct flight anywhere. So that's appealing to kind of have more culture and a different environment than Kansas City.
Sure. I like that for you. So you're in the question of, do I want kids or don't I? It's not a yes, it's not a no. It sounds like it's an exploration. Is that correct?
Yeah, more towards no, I think, just because I feel like if I had a child, I would be so focused on their well-being and like making sure that they weren't getting bullied and making sure that they were eating their vegetables at lunch. And it would take so much of my like, you know, I feel like I would be tunnel visioned on like making sure that my child was great, that I might not have the energy to help more kids that could really use anyone's like focused energy and attention.
Got it. So how does that fit in? How does that potential that you're leaning towards, no kids, how does that fit in with partnership with a man? So what do you tell yourself? Well, that means I'm just going to, you know, date, have boyfriends, or have to be with a guy that doesn't want kids. Like, how do you think about that?
Currently, I've just been focused on like casually dating and having fun here since I'm moving, because I've made a lot of decisions for men up until now that have kind of gotten me off course. So now when I'm dating someone, I'm trying to be clear about like, these are some big goals that I have. And some of them are like, that sounds great. Like I can see myself living in India and doing something like that. So then I kind of like put them in this bucket of like, ooh, maybe this person is someone that could come along and be aligned with this kind of work in the future.
Got it. Okay, that's very helpful. So can I assume that you were close with your dad?
Yes, we were very close.
Mm-hmm. What would, if you could name two things about him that really stand out to you, just him as a human being?
Yes, he was very gentle and he was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Gentle and hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
How was he as a father to you?
We had an interesting relationship because my parents divorced when I was in kindergarten, and my dad really wanted independence, and he didn't really want to be beholden to a schedule of parenting my sister and I. So he had an affair. So I had a lot of like anger towards him and not really understanding him. We weren't very close because I was very close with my mom. So it wasn't until I was a teenager that I felt like he really wanted to be like a full-time dad in my life. So I was living in Dallas with my mom and my stepdad, and that was not a very good situation. So the summer before junior year, my dad was really trying to get me to move back to Kansas City to finish out high school and live with him and my stepmom, which I did, which was one of the greatest decisions of my life, because he and I really weren't close. And I got to experience like being a child and being taken care of, because in my relationship with my mom, she needed a lot of like caretaking. So I wasn't really able to like do chores and get allowance and give money to go to like the movies on Friday night. And I had that when I lived with my dad. So I feel like, junior and senior year of high school were some of the happiest times of my life, just because I really got to bond with my dad. And I'm glad I did, because, 2 years later, he was gone.
Mm-hmm. Powerful story, and a very beautiful story, really. There's a certain beauty to it, and it's just a reminder to me how short life can be, and we never know that until it's right in front of us.
Uh-huh.
So when you're in the mode where, like now, you're weighing what you weigh right now, are you actively trying to lose weight? Do you do things each day that somehow reflect, I am doing this to lose weight, whether it's dieting, whether it's exercising?
Not really right now. I've gone through phases of that, and I've done a lot of like HIIT boot camps for 12 weeks and following a meal plan. And whenever I do follow something super structured, everyone in the group loses weight but me. And I had a like terrible experience at Equinox Gym, which is a really like fancy gym, and in Dallas. And I like followed this 12-week boot camp and nutrition plan to a T, and they checked, your bone density, muscle mass, all of that at the start of the program. And at the end of the 3 months, I gained 6 pounds, and it wasn't muscle mass, because they checked that it was fat. And I gained inches. So it was really frustrating. And at that time, they told me that I should probably see a doctor, because they thought there was something wrong with my thyroid or something going on. But it was really disappointing, because I was really dedicated. And to see other people that do like half the amount of work lose 20 pounds, where you are like perfect about it and gain weight. So, and I've done several rounds of that. I did like a half marathon training, and I didn't lose a pound, and like everyone around me was like losing weight effortlessly. So it's been frustrating if I'm really like trying to do these programs that work for everyone else that don't work for me. So when that happens, I used to just cry about it. And now I try to just be like, okay, great. I eat pretty healthy and I'm pretty active. So like, I don't think those are the issues. Like, I don't think that's why I have the weight. So that's what's been like, well, why do I have the weight? So that's kind of led me to like the safety issue, though it could be something else. But I feel like it's emotional in nature.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I have so many things I want to say. Remind me how old you're again, 31?
34.
34, okay. So in general, and certainly in relation to you, but in general, I think what happens when it comes to the topic of weight loss is that we're all very conditioned from what the world has taught us, that if you want to lose weight, you eat less and you exercise more. And there's just virtually every approach is one or two or both of those to some degree. And the reality is there are many, 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 many outliers to that approach. There might be more outliers to that approach than there are people who it actually works for. You're definitely an outlier. So the calories in, calories out model doesn't work for your body.
Right.
What traditional science will then tell us is that, well, there's got to be something wrong with your body. And there's a chance, I'm going to guess, that probably the two things you could do for yourself from a medical / metabolic perspective. Have you been tested for diabetes, pre-diabetes? And you're fine?
Yes. I think I saw an endocrinologist who said that I was close to being pre-diabetic. And so yeah, and she suggested that I do the keto diet.
Got it. Okay. But close doesn't mean there. Okay. And have you had your thyroid checked?
I have, and it's always in the normal range.
Great, as I would have guessed. So there's a place, and most experts don't want to acknowledge this or admit this, or they can't acknowledge it because they don't have a broad enough perspective, which is there's a place where weight loss is a big mystery. Like literally, it's a mystery with a capital M. You could do everything right, and you've done a lot of good things that intelligently would say, hey, if a human being who can lose weight wants to lose weight, try these things. And you do them, and you do them diligently, and you cry because everybody else it works for and it doesn't work for you.
Exactly.
So unless there's something metabolic going on, which I'm going to guess there's not, the two pieces I just mentioned would be, the two main factors that I would see holding you back from a metabolic perspective. Your story tells me a lot. When the weight fluctuations started. And oftentimes what can happen is for some people, because you're uniquely you, I'm uniquely me, and the body is its own unique creature. And to my way of thinking, your body very much tracks your emotional experience. We could even say your body very much tracks your spiritual experience. And what I mean by that is, from my perspective, at the end of the day, the hardships that you've been through, on one level, I look at them as challenges for your own spiritual growth. That these are experiences that if you cannot integrate them, learn from them, and become a better person from them, then you're not going to be happy. And so far, what I've heard from you is that you've done work on yourself to be a better person in general. You've done work on yourself to move your life forward. You've done work on yourself in terms of self-discovery, like, who am I? What do I want to do in this world? Who do I want to be? And my guess is that in your first experience of sexual abuse and assault, you were clearly young and you were clearly innocent. And you didn't see, nor could you have seen, what was going on. And that is the kind of trauma, it's the kind of stressor that will easily live in the body, because essentially, amongst other things, it is a betrayal.
Yes.
And it says to you, it says to your body that this world is not safe, because here I am, I'm hanging out with these people who are technically extremely safe.
Right.
But they weren't safe. So there's a message that lives in your system somewhere that stuff ain't safe.
Yeah.
World ain't safe, especially in obvious situations but this should be safe. I should be safe with the people who are mentoring me, guiding me, being my friends, going out on a third date with me. I should be safe. Like we really should. So that's a big hit to our emotional body. It's a big hit to your physiology, and it's a big challenge to you as a spiritual being in terms of how do you grow from that? Like, how do I integrate that such that it doesn't hold me back as a person? So to me, in a sense, what's happening is add in your dad's death, untimely, unexpected, at a young age. And there's a place inside, like when I hear your story, I would say to myself, wow, there's a place where a part of you doesn't have baseline. It doesn't have a firm ground.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't have a firm ground in my life, it makes it harder for my body to have a firm ground, especially if my body is sensitive. So there's a place where your body is sensitive, and sensitive to me means good. I don't think sensitive is bad. Sensitive means you feel.
Yeah.
Sensitive means you experience your sensations and all your senses. So when something happens to you, you feel it. And in a lot of ways, you just might be the kind of person that your body helps you manage trauma. One of the ways that the body can help us manage trauma, especially a sexual trauma, especially a trauma where our trust is broken and the body is violated, is the body becomes bigger.
Mm-hmm.
How is that a protection? Your brain is smart. Your unconscious brain is very smart. It understands from a genetic perspective that generally speaking, the safest creatures in nature are of two kinds. They're either apex predators, like a lion, safest creature in nature, or they're the biggest creatures, elephant, hippopotamus, rhinoceros, huge buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
They're safe because they're big and they can kick you and they're less of a target. A lion is going to rather go after a littler guy than a bigger guy.
Right.
So the brain knows the bigger I am, the less of a sexual target I am. So there's a part of you that hasn't experienced the kind of safety where a deeper level in you can just relax.
That sounds exactly right.
Now, what I believe is that you're figuring that out and your body is figuring that out. What I believe, based on the story that you're telling me, see, I look at our bodily experience as a journey. I look at our life as a journey. I look at our weight as a journey. And as long as you and I are looking to grow as human beings, then on a certain level, that's the best we can do. Because as you become the person that you're meant to be, your body has the best chance to be what it's meant to be. And in a way, it's a little bit unfair because, like, heck, why does my body have to express all this stuff by getting big and refusing to lose weight?
Right.
Better that than become a drug addict. Better that than have it impact your heart and die of heart disease. Better that than it gives you cancer.
Mm-hmm.
If you were my sister or my daughter, I would rather you have extra weight than all those other things.
Yeah, me too.
Relatively speaking. So just the way I'm viewing you is your body is figuring it out. At the same time, your body is doing its job. Your body's actually very wise. Your body is saying, until she's safe, I'm going to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is there's a part of you that's not sure you're safe yet.
Yeah, I think so. And trying to figure out a way to feel safe aside from moving back to China.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be able to feel safe wherever I go and have it not be the environment.
Love that. Love that. So can I offer some suggestions?
Yes, please.
Let's consider feeling safe a practice.
Okay.
It's a practice, meaning it's just, if you don't know how to play the piano and you want to learn how to play the piano, you gotta practice.
Okay.
And so this is a practice. There's no button to push. There's no therapy that's going to give you this one particular piece that all of a sudden you're going to feel safe. So feeling safe is a practice. And there's a lot of ways to practice feeling safe. I'm going to just name a few. And maybe some of these might be helpful for you. One way to practice feeling safe is, are you a journaling kind of person?
Yeah, sometimes on Friday nights I journal.
Okay. So on Friday night, after the day is over, sit down with the journal and write in your journal proof this week that I was safe. And I want you to write down all the freaking obvious reasons why you're safe. How are you safe? I'm still alive. Nobody's attacked me. Got a roof over my head. I've interacted with sweet people. Somebody gave me a dirty look. I gave them a dirty look back. I walked away. I'm safe.
Okay.
The Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl. I'm safe.
Okay.
So gather evidence, actual evidence that you're safe. Because here you are, you have no diseases that are stopping you from living your life.
Mm-hmm.
You have good people in your life and no harm has come to you. So for that week, that's actually proof that you're safe.
Okay.
So what this does is it teaches you to notice that you're safe. Otherwise, what happens is the little voice that goes, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe. It keeps running because you weren't safe back then when you were violated.
Mm-hmm.
So people that love me are still alive. I'm safe. So that's one practice. So you're gathering evidence that I am safe.
Okay.
When do you feel least safe these days?
I feel least safe when I walk my dog late at night, because where I live in Kansas City, there's a lot of transient houseless friends that kind of roam my area, my part of town at night.
Okay. So it is reasonable to assume, based on what you just told me, that it's smart to have the thought, I'm not 100% safe here.
Right.
So to my mind, that's a time when one should be alert and one should be aware and one should practice alertness, because in those moments, I'm not safe. You're distinguishing between real potential threat and other times when there isn't a real threat in your environment.
Okay.
So I think it's reasonable when you go out at night and you're walking your dog to understand, oh, I have to be alert. And to ask the question, what would help me feel safer? Do you carry pepper spray? Do you do that?
Well, I have a little flashlight stun gun thing.
Great.
Yeah.
So that is a way to feel safer.
Mm-hmm.
Moving to a different neighborhood might be for you a way to feel safer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's okay in moments when you legitimately have a reason to not feel safe, to not feel safe.
Right.
and to own that that's a smart thing to do.
Yes.
I've traveled in places, I've traveled in countries where it wasn't safe. I was very aware I'm not safe. And there's a different set of distinctions that we carry ourselves with when we're not safe. There's also a certain set of distinctions that we carry ourselves with when we are technically safe. So any other times, other than when you're walking your dog at night, that you don't feel safe?
That's it's mainly if I'm walking. Sometimes during the day too, there's similar issues in like downtown Kansas City. We have like quite a diverse population. But yeah, the walking alone at night is the main thing. With dating, I've been really great at practicing boundaries and like expressing them very clearly on the outset. And everyone has loved it and been extremely respectful. So that has been very helpful and healing in that regard. So I feel safe on dates.
Oh, good for you. I'm so happy. Like that to me is a big giant step in the direction of where you want to go, which is giving your body the signal that it's safe and that you can protect yourself. So part of feeling safe isn't only eliminating all threats, because we can't do that. We can't eliminate every threat, but what we can do is assert boundaries when you can. You can acknowledge times when you actually are safe, like when you journal on Friday nights and you're gathering up evidence why this week you were safe. Life goes on. Good things happened. Lots of love, lots of laughs, etc. Good conversations. I've been safe. Especially feeling safe with men is important. So you're moving in that direction and you're slowly giving your body the signal that you're safe. I also wish to acknowledge that you've gathered evidence that says that weight loss for me will not come when I'm dieting and exercising my brains out.
Yeah.
So in a strange way, that's not so safe for you when it comes to weight loss. Your body, you're giving your body the message, you in specific, when you do those things, chances are the way your body receives that. Now, I'm not saying everybody receives that message, but the way I think your body is receiving the message of underfeeding and over-exercising is, why is she running me into the ground? Why is she starving me? It's literally a stress response that your body's going under.
Okay.
Your body wants to be cared for. I think that your body will find safety more and more, like the body that you can't completely control. The more you love on it, the more you nourish it, the more you treat it well, the more you honor it, the more you don't insult it, the more you don't accept anybody else's insults about it, the more you're loving it, and the more you love something, the safer it feels.
Okay.
So your job is not to starve it. Your job is to actually feed it. Enjoy your food, celebrate it. Do your best to love your body in all the little ways, because as soon as you starve it, your body's going, what the hell's going on here? I'm not safe again. There's no food in this environment. When you overexercise, it might as well be like your body's a horse and your mind is the jockey and you're just making it run so hard that is exhausted. So I'm guessing that your body is going to heal through how you love it along the journey right now.
Okay. I love that.
We're on the right page. It's just giving your body those messages. And I also love for you how you've set a path for yourself. You're charting your future, moving to Miami with your friend, thinking long term about work that you want to do in the world where you're giving your gift. In an interesting way, the kind of work that you want to do around sex trafficking is you're trying to make the world a safer place.
Yeah.
You're creating safety for other human beings. That may very well be a big part of your healing.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to say to you, let your body do what it does. Your body will follow you.
Okay.
Your body will follow your lead, and it has its own timing. I want to tell you very briefly, a number of years ago, I was working with a client who was sexually assaulted at a young age by a close relative. And this is a close relative who she loved, and he loved her. And subsequently, over the years, she's gained a lot of weight and was trying to lose about 90 pounds. And very similar story to you in terms of nothing she would do would make the weight come off. Absolutely nothing, like nothing. And the work that we did essentially focused on her doing some work around, because she's still in contact with this relative, and they never worked it out. So our specific work together became her finding a voice and just let go of weight loss, because she'd been focused on weight loss for so many years. And it wasn't about weight loss. It was really about finding her voice in this realm, very specifically, and dealing with her conflicting emotions. I love you, and you did this terrible thing to me at a young age. Mm-hmm. What do I do with that? What do we do about that? So let's just get the conversation on the table with this person.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to her, even after you do that, your body is just going to follow its own wisdom. I said to her, I think this is going to help you lose weight, but I don't know when. Only because I've been through this journey with people before, where you can do everything right and the body doesn't lose weight according to our schedule. It loses weight according to its schedule. It took 2 years after we worked together, and we did some great work. She did A+. And there was just one period of time when she was doing nothing different food-wise, exercise-wise, and the weight just started dropping.
Okay.
Her body was ready. It was just ready.
Uh-huh.
So all I'm saying is, from that, conveying that to you is, I deeply believe in your body's wisdom. I deeply believe in your journey and the story that you've told me, as difficult as it is. You've really responded to your journey in a beautiful way.
Thank you.
And in a very honorable way, in terms of just where you're at, who you are as a person, how you're able to speak about this, and just how you've managed yourself. Like, great freaking job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really mean that. You couldn't have done anything better. And you're charting a course for yourself, and you're being true to yourself right now. You don't know if you want to be married. You don't know if you want to have kids. And you have this kind of work that you're passionate about, and you have a good friend that can potentially do this work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing what's most important to you. And I believe that your body will come along for the ride in a good way, because it has been.
Yeah.
And now the practice is just reminding yourself that you're safe. Journaling will help, and not dieting and not over-exercising and trying to force your body, and just loving on it gives it the signal, hey, body, you're safe. Nobody's trying to make you do something that you don't want to do. Because that was the offense in the first place. Somebody's trying to make your body do something that it doesn't want to do and you don't want it to do.
Exactly.
So you're unwinding from that and you're literally doing it.
Okay. That's really validating to hear. Thank you.
It's validating, I think, because you know deep down inside that it's true. Like you're following your own guidance in many ways. That's what I hear in your story, that you're trusting yourself. And I love that for you, because it would be easy for you to say, I can't trust myself because of what's happened in the past.
Right.
And the reality is you were young, you were trusting, you were innocent. And you were victimized. And that has nothing to do with you can't trust yourself, and everything to do with hard lessons in learning that you can trust yourself.
Yeah.
And you are trustworthy, and you can make good decisions for yourself. And you can make healthy boundaries for yourself. And you've been doing that.
Awesome. I'm really proud of myself. Thank you.
Yay! I'm proud of you too. I'm really proud of you too. And this conversation is really a celebration of you. And me telling you from my experience, there's a million people trying to, for every million people trying to lose weight, there's a million different ways to lose weight, depending on what's right for that person. And you have your own unique journey. And the beauty of it is we have to learn how to trust our own journey. And you've been gathering evidence and information. And in a lot of ways, you've really been trusting your journey. And this is another way to trust your journey.
Okay.
Let your body be what it is, and it'll follow you where you're taking it in a good way. I think it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
I bet money on it.
Okay. Me too. I feel really good. This conversation has really helped me a lot. And thank you so much for listening to my story and holding space for me.
Tricia, I'm so glad for you. I really just have a lot of confidence for you. And I truly believe that you're going to get where you want to go. I really do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being so real. Thanks for being so honest. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Yes. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Take care.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.